going on, guys? So if you can't tell by the title, we're doing something a little different today. This is going to be my first sort of installment of this sort of podcast, newscast thing, whatever you want to call it. And so by the title, of course, we are going to be talking about eSports. This is going to be a shorter one. I'm kind of doing this as a test run just to see what I need to fix and things like that, kind of get a feel. But I do have some stuff that I actually want to talk about. And if you can't tell from the banner, that's kind of like right almost over my head over here. The first thing we're going to be talking about is IEM Katowice. So if you're not aware of what this is, it's a tournament that is hosted by Intel. It's Intel Extreme Master Katowice, so it's hosted in Katowice, Poland. And they play all kinds of PC-based games. This past weekend they played StarCraft, PUBG, CSGO, and Dota. So I'm going to kind of recap a little bit of that, and then we're going to get into some of our other topics. So, yeah. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Dota 2. And so Virtus Pro, which is a Russian team, dominantly beat Vichy Gaming 3-1 in the grand finals. And Vichy actually 2-0'd them earlier in pool play, which forced them to play against Evil Geniuses, which is Virtus's sort of rival. In the past 4 years, they've never won a single map against EG. They've actually gone 0-12. But nonetheless, they were able to snap that loss streak after 4 years and end up going on winning the tournament along with $400,000 and 750 qualifying points, which solidifies their spot as #1 in the World Dota Pro Circuit. Moving on, we'll talk a little bit about CSGO. CSGO actually just started today, so there's not a whole lot to talk about. Renegades took a 2-0 win over Avangar, and SK got 2-0'd by Astralis, which is probably a little surprising to a lot of people. And Gambit took a close 2-1 win over Tyloo. And most surprising to me is that Cloud9 were actually swept 2-0 by Team Liquid. And so, if you will. The next thing I want to talk about a little bit, building off of that, is Cloud9's future in CSGO. Obviously, everybody knows that Cloud9 won the last major in Boston. Maybe not super convincingly, but they definitely put on a great performance. And after watching the bits of gameplay that I did of them today, it was not as convincing. They won their best of 1. I think the round count was 16-13, so that was pretty close. And then they got 2-0'd by Team Liquid, which is, I mean, an okay team, but not a great team. It's a little early to really make judgments, but they did not look good against Team Liquid. So I think that's something to definitely keep your eye out for coming up for the rest of this week and this weekend, to see if they can actually get it back together and show us and play like they did in Boston. The next title that was played was StarCraft 2, which I don't personally follow very closely. So the only thing that really happened was they had their 72-player tournament this past weekend to determine the groups for group play this coming weekend in the tournament. And so here are, I will give you guys the groups. Group A is Showtime, Gomeo, Deer, Marv, Tai, and Special. Group B is Thermal, Dark, Innovation, Hurricane, Solar, and True. Group C is Impact, Rogue, Nerchio, Cyril, Zest, and Neeb. Group D is Elaser, Classic, SOS, Trap, Hero Marine, Ryu, and Ryun. Group play is going to start on this Thursday, and the other thing that I wanted to point out is that in Group C, Neeb is the only North American participant in this tournament. So, just a fun little tidbit for you. And the last game that was played that I actually want to talk about a little bit at length was PUBG. This is IEM Katowice's first ever PUBG tournament. Obviously, as the game just recently became a full title. And Avangar ended up taking the title, as well as $25,000, which to me was very surprising. I watched most of this tournament on Saturday, but almost none of it on Sunday. And on Saturday, Optic Gaming won 2 of the 4 maps, which has never been done on a LAN for PUBG. So it looked very in favor of Optic Gaming, and for a Vanguard to come back and actually win the entire tournament was very impressive. What's more impressive to me, though, is how poorly TSM played. TSM has been a favorite in PUBG for a while. They have some of the best names in pro PUBG, and I was very surprised to see how poorly they did. I think they ended the tournament in 7th out of 12, and I was just very not impressed. I think it's probably, if I had to speculate, it's because they just dropped Rory for Smack, and I haven't seen much of Smack play, but my guess is that there probably was a little bit of team chemistry that was lacking there, and that would probably be my guess as to why they didn't play so well, but I was very disappointed with that. And so now we get into one of our actual discussion topics, which has kind of been a hot topic in esports, which is Battle Royale games. As esports, everybody knows and loves Fortnite, as I have the picture right up here. PUBG, H1Z1, these are all games that have had, well, minus Fortnite, have all had tournaments so far, and nobody really knows where they stand as esports titles. Having watched quite a bit of professional PUBG, my opinion has changed. I definitely used to think that Battle Royale games didn't really have a place in esports. There's just too much randomness to it, right? You know, wherever you drop, there's random loot. The circle is completely random. But I think, having watched professional PUBG, I think what makes this a good esport is the randomness. Because in other esports, like, let's say CSGO, you have to adapt to the strategy that your opponents are using, and then you have to adapt to the equipment that you have. But in PUBG, or any Battle Royale game for that matter, you have to adjust to where you land, the terrain around you, the gear that you get, where the circle is going to be, and whether or not your whole team survives until the late game. And I feel like that ability to adapt for players, to adapt their strategies, is really what makes it almost in like its own kind of tier of esport, because there's so much randomness to it that in order to be really good at it, you have to be able to adapt to anything, where in other games there isn't that randomness. So yeah. And our last topic for this podcast is actually going to be the COD World League at large, and for this I have my guest co-host, Mr. Conair. Yeah, this right there.
Shall I roll it?
Yeah, roll in. Come on in.
Shoeboxes. Not in.
Okay, so
My head's in the...
you're too tall. I don't know. That's whatever. That works. So I had a couple questions.
So yeah, currently the COD World League's going on.
Go ahead.
Group A is playing this week. And this upcoming weekend there's the World Gaming thing in Canada. There's only like 3 known teams going. Biggest one being E United, and then Poland, I think GGEA Orange. Then Atlanta after that, so kind of it right now. Not too much going on.
You know the standings off your head?
Most of them, yeah.
Go for it.
So
Hit me with it.
Pool B, they're kind of like halfway through because they're not really playing, and Group A is finishing up this week. Pool B has like LG in first, Envy second. I believe they're tied with FaZe, who's third. But those 3 are like kind of way ahead of everyone else. Then you got like 3-way tie with Splice, Unilad, and one other team I'm forgetting, I think. And then there's United and Epsilon to finish that out. Epsilon has not won. They don't look good at all. Can't even beat Taboo, apparently. And then, yeah. The Group B is really separated, the top 3 and then the bottom 5. Kind of any of the 4 teams except for Epsilon can get that 4th spot for playoffs.
If you had to pick one, who do you think it would be? If you had to pick one right now.
I'd say Splice, probably.
Splice?
Yeah. They're good with Jerd.
Yes, nice. Couple questions.
Yeah, yeah.
So we talked about this a little bit earlier, but what do you think your biggest surprise in the pro league so far has been?
Probably Envy being like 6-2, or E United being 5-2, or E United being 2-5. Either or. I could have easily seen the reverse happening, like Envy being 2-5 and E United being 5-2.
Yeah.
Like easily happen.
I think for me, it's actually been Mind Freak's success.
They're
haven't
good,
been
but
playing,
they're not consistent.
Right, they haven't been playing amazing, but I did not expect them to play nearly as well as they have been, and they've definitely had a handful of series where I was very convinced that this could be a good team.
Yeah. Beat TK today.
Yeah, exactly. So,
you never know.
So my next question is your predictions for Atlanta. So let's start with who do you think will be in the grand finals, and who do you think will win the grand?
Okay, so I'll say the finals will be Rise and LG, and then Rise winning. I think that team's way too good right now. Mm-hmm. Right now in COD, it's all about being consistent, and I don't see them being inconsistent at all. Like everyone else has shown some bad side to them, where Rise is just kind of steamrolling everyone. So yeah, gotta be that.
I think I don't know what the pools are. They haven't.
Rise is 7, and Rise lost 1 in their first go round. They were 6-1 after the first.
So
LG's lost 1 as well. Lost to Fate.
I would like to see. I think Rise Envy would be a good grand finals. Okay. I don't know
about
if
Envy
that's
again.
Possible, but I feel like that would be a great series.
Anything's possible, hasn't it?
Yeah. Okay. So I would say I had to pick. I'd say Rise Envy if Envy shows up, and I would think out of that Rise would probably win it. But I mean, Envy can make it that far. Who knows? They'd probably be riding a pretty big wave.
What European team do you think's the best?
European team? I don't know. That's hard. I think I want to say Splice, but they haven't been playing super well recently. But no other team is consistent. I guess.
I feel like you have to say Red.
Maybe.
I feel like you kind of have to. They're very good.
I feel like it's either Red or Splice.
Oh, for sure. Just only those.
Yeah.
Two. Maybe Unilad's got their moments. They're kind of like Mind Freak with that.
Yeah.
They have their moments.
Vitality's had a handful of really good series too, but like I said, nobody's really all that consistent from Europe. It really just depends on who decides to show up.
Should have beat Optic, but they choked.
Yeah. Out of all of the pro teams that are kind of struggling in the pro series, who do you think has the biggest chance of turning it around?
Group A, maybe Mind Freak or maybe Echo Fox. Probably Mind Freak though. They really look good on certain maps. And then Group B, it's got to be United, maybe Unilad, but you never really expected much from Unilad to begin with. But they've had their moments. They could turn it around. Yeah.
I think that if they get kind of their act together, I think Era has a chance of doing surprisingly well in the second half of this.
I think the past week, like last week and then going into this one, they've looked all right. It's just them using their streaks properly. They're a good team. They're just they don't really they don't play the entire map well. Mm-hmm. They'll play 80% of it well and then just choke or something.
Yeah, I think one thing that all the casters say all the time is that they're all great individual players, but sometimes they really struggle to play as a team. Yeah. And I think if they figure that out, that'll be a kind of scary team, honestly. Talked about this, and I know your opinion, but do you think COD's viewership is going to struggle without Courage as a caster?
No.
Not at all?
It's not really going to change. No.
Just a hard no?
No.
Alright. I'm not even going to argue with you.
I don't see it.
If you had to pick... We'll move on.
Yeah.
If you had to pick your dream fantasy team going to Atlanta, who would it be? Put together any 4 players.
So, as my AR, either Methods or Octane. I'm going to go with Methods. Take Zuma, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Probably Tej. Then maybe Krim as a flex. I like that. Pretty solid. I don't know. No one on LG though. I was thinking about that late. Maybe Octane, but nothing else really.
Octane's overrated. You already know that.
Octane's good. Methods is better.
I think I would take. I'm trying to think now because it's no FG anymore, so I have to take that into consideration. think I would take Chino as my main AR.
Gene.
He's kind of been struggling, but
Yeah,
I feel like it's
Chino.
not entirely his fault. So I'd say Chino, and then I feel like Zuma's an obvious. Zuma's just absolutely on fire
he's
right
probably
now.
the best stuff.
Then I don't know. I don't think. What's what I Silly, I think.
Flexes.
Silly. And...
I don't know if he's the best sub though.
Yeah. That's one of those teams, like, it has its moment. They have
Yeah.
Silly would have his
He
moments,
does,
right?
but he has a bad moment.
Yeah. And then fourth. You know what? Screw it, Nagafen. Just because he's Nagafen.
I should have said center.
Censor. Alright, and this is my last question. Who do you think the best open bracket team?
I feel like the one that can cause most chaos would probably be Cole, but I feel like the best is Next Threat, or I guess now Most Wanted, but both those teams should make it into pool play. I don't know, Cole's struggles, they're really inconsistent. I don't know. They might lose in the best of 3 in the open bracket though, so. But then probably Lightning Pandas as well. I don't really know the other big
It's
ones.
kind of a tough.
Maybe throw in like Millennium. I think they're like GEA purple now.
I don't know.
I want to
There's
say
too
that.
many of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd probably, if I had to pick one, I want to say Lightning Pandas, just because
They're a good team.
I feel like they're way more consistent than Censor's team. Also, Cole has just kind of been struggling in general between like.
Yeah. Also, GGEA Orange, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
They won the national circuit for North America, so
That's true.
I'll
Yeah.
take that into account. And they're going to be at the World Gaming thing this weekend, so
Yeah.
have some land practice
Yeah, that's
before the
probably
weekend.
one of those kind of like underdog open
Yeah.
bracket teams.
I would not want to play them in pools.
Yeah.
Boost. I don't really know anything else. Nova, I think
Fastball swamp?
that was
Who
the
was
blue
on?
team. He
was
got
on
dropped.
blue? Okay.
They got relegated.
That's
At
unfortunate.
the national circuit, they got relegated. I
Alright.
feel for them.
Thank you. Thank you, Connor. That is all I have at the moment. I will actually be keeping my stream live. I'm going to be playing some games here in a minute. Let me know in chat, feedback, any suggestions you have like that. The next time that I do
Get me
this...
in the camera.
Yeah, get Connor. Next time when we do this will probably be... I'm hoping next week Tuesday, and I'll have some more like actual stories to give